So Reese, congrats on Pinocchio Unstrung. I really enjoyed the film. I want to ask you before we get into the film, just how has it been, really growing as a director, very much in the public eye? The first Blood and Honey was very bare bones. You didn't have much of a budget. And now, since you guys keep reinvesting, what you make off these movies, you've been able to grow as a director and put out better products each time. So how has it been just undergoing this very public development? Because usually we don't see, you know, a no budget film seen by this many people. And then, it's been interesting to see that track.
Yeah, yeah. Normally, when people are early stages in their filmmaking career, and they're like in university or they're learning the game a bit, they make short films which the world never sees. Like you always hear filmmakers say that. They're like, "I'm never showing you my short film." My short film is basically Blood and Honey 1, which the world saw, and it went absolutely global. Now. That was very, very early days in my career. I was still kind of getting to grips with understanding, the language of like cinema and filmmaking. And even though there were budget restrictions, I'm hoping people see my latest film and see a big improvement compared to the other ones because I feel like I've developed a lot since then. I've got very thick skin, so all of the negativity and the hate I didn't really care about. Like I was just brushing it off, I was just laughing about it because you've just got to keep getting better and better and keep at the grind to eventually kind of achieve what you want to achieve as a filmmaker. And I feel like with each version, I'm becoming a better and better filmmaker.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that work's paying off, and I can't wait to see how you continue to develop. And this film has some really wicked kills. There's one in a gym where it's almost like Final Destination-y, with just all the gym stuff going wrong. Talk to me just how you approached a kill like that, and what your inspirations were.
Yeah, so that was quite early into the film. I think that's around 20 or 25 minutes. Um, there is a bit of a rule we try to adhere to when we're making a film that, something fun needs to happen, every 10 minutes, like normally some sort of death scene or something like that. In Pinocchio, that's why there's that death scene, which is more of a kind of accidental moment. It's just his natural presence of being a kind of wooden puppet causes a chain reaction like that. And it made sense for me to have a kind of accidental death kind of put there in the film before he goes on his actual journey and starts, trying to become a real boy. That death scene, I've always thought about kind of what it would be like to either slip on a treadmill or be squatting a heavy amount of weight in the gym and then slip. It's always gone through my head whenever I've done both of those exercises. And I've not really seen them in. I don't think I've seen them in any film. So I thought, okay, I'll have a go at it and see how it turns out. They were hard. It almost didn't work because in the early stages, I was like, okay, how am I going to pull off the fall on the treadmill? And I got a stunt performer in there, and she's running on the treadmill. She slips and she falls down, but it when you're on a kind of wide shot for it, it doesn't really sell the impact, kind of what you imagine in your head. And is that in my head, I was imagining her like head smacking on the treadmill and her neck breaking, and I thought I can't ask a stunt person to do that. When I was on set, I was like, she can't break her neck for me. So I was like, oh god. So what do I do? And funny enough, at the end of the nearer the end of the film, you can see Pinocchio creates this kind of like human like puppet character. We actually just used that on set, and we just dressed that up in the performers one, and I just like yeeted it onto the treadmill, but it worked really well. That human puppet assembly creation was able to actually break its neck and just go absolutely flying. I was able to send it off at max speed. That worked. And then yeah, the gym squat moment as well. We had a kind of practical back built for the stunt guy. So when he bent forwards, it just looked like his spine just snapped out. So yeah, I thought that was really fun, and I hope makes people squirm a little bit.
Oh yeah, they're nasty. That's really fun. I love the ingenuity that comes into these kills. And at the end of the film, once the credits start rolling, we get to see some behind the scenes. We get to see the puppet of Pinocchio. How important was it and essential to have practical effects really be at the core of Pinocchio Unstrung?
Yeah, yeah, it was really important. So that was one of my early decisions. And I was like, no, I want to go down a kind of practical route with this. The whole story of Pinocchio is fundamentally about craftsmanship, and Pinocchio physically being made in the story. So I thought I kind of want to physically make him as well. So yeah, I decided to fully embrace that and make that a kind of motive throughout the film. So right from the start, you can start kind of see the use of shadow puppets, all practical. You can see a practical title card. The doll's practical, the gore's practical, the end credits. Pinocchio is like I shot that on a projector. Pinocchio's hands pulling them off, and then you can see some of the behind the scenes after to show how bloody hard it was to actually work with a puppet. So, but yeah, it was super important for me because I'm a massive horror fan. I love the use of practical effects, and I think any horror fan really does as well. You can kind of tell when something's gone down a digital route, even though it's way easier to shoot. It doesn't give you a kind of the kooky and crafty kind of vibe and atmosphere that I really wanted for the film.
Yeah, it's really charming in that sense for sure. And your producing partner Scott Chambers is taking over Blood and Honey for the third film. Was that weird giving up that title, or was it refreshing to be able to kind of do new things like Pinocchio?
There's a bit of both, really. I'd been in the Blood and Honey world for a long, long time. It was I did the first film, the second film. I was kind of in the background producing and helping with the Bambi and Peter Pan films. I didn't at the time, but we basically had the option of doing Blood and Honey 3 was greenlit, it was ready to go. But then there was also Pinocchio. I didn't want to do both of those films and try and stretch myself too thin because then I thought neither of them would be good if I did that. So I decided to hand the reins over to Scott to have a go at the Blood and Honey 3 universe. But it was strange because these characters, which I've been thinking about for years and years, you then hand over to someone else, and at points you want to jump in and be like, no, like do it like this. But then you have to be like, oh no, wait, I'm not the director on this one, so you have to step back. And yeah, secondly, it was just super refreshing to actually tackle a different universe and a different character. You're not constrained, like when I was writing Pinocchio, I'm not constrained to prior elements that I've built, characters, world building, and trying to create a story with those constraints. Everything is free. I could do whatever I want with the story, and that's really creatively freeing. I could early on, I could have taken Pinocchio down a really sinister Annabelle route, or I could have gone down a more kind of campier, fun route, which is what I decided to go with.
And this is all building to Poohniverse Monsters Assemble, which an incredible title. Do we have any update on when you guys are looking to film that one?
Yeah, so that's the next one we're filming. We're writing the script now and in preparation. That takes a little bit longer on that film than the other ones because there's just so much involved. You can imagine it's not just the Blood and Honey characters. I want to bring in everyone into it. I want to bring in the Peter Pan character. I want to bring in Pinocchio as the doll again into that world. I want to bring into Bambi into it. So all of this big ensemble crossover is a bit of a like a mountain to try and climb and see how we can what is the right story to tell to show how they're all interconnected. But yeah, that's my next one. So we're looking to probably shoot that in early 2027, I think.
Awesome. So that seems a bigger scale film. My last question for you: generally, what are you aiming for output wise with like the TCU? It seems like two a year is a good balance when it's not a bigger one like the Puniverse.
Yeah, yeah, we're kind of looking at about yeah I think we probably averaged about 1.5, just because Pinocchio took me way longer than I was hoping. Even once I finished it, I was stuck in post-production for so long because I had to just do so many of the string removal shots. I did like about 200 of them myself to try and get rid of it because we were just moving him around and it's just all these hands and these strings you have to get rid of. But on average, yeah, we're looking about two a year unless it's something bigger. And that Poohniverse is a bigger one. Once that's done, we'll kind of reassess things at that point, because then we'll be looking to go more towards a kind of phase two approach to it. A bit like Marvel.
Awesome.